Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports, and I am excited to bring you another Fantasy Life Championship live stream event. And tonight's live stream, I'm going to be joined by Howard Bender once again. Howard, thanks so much for coming on. You are not only going to be doing the play-by-play of this great draft tonight, and it's not one, it is two drafts that we are keeping track of tonight because one filled up really quick. The one you were in, everybody wanted to try to take you down. And then we filled another one up. So we get to look at two drafts, and you're going to draft in one of those. Should be a lot of fun. And you have the fifth pick, Howard. How are you feeling about that?
I feel pretty good about a top five pick. I think we know basically who the top characters are. So it's just a matter of really of what order they go in. I'll build a winning team no matter what. I do. Do I have a preference? Sure. I'd love to see somebody slip down to me that might not normally slip down to five, but again, who knows? I think what my focus is on for this draft here in particular is who's picking three picks after me, right? And that's our buddy Paul Farrell, who in our last broadcast was throwing down all sorts of smack talk against me. I jumped into this draft immediately to challenge him. I'm looking at the draft board right now, and it looks like Chicken Little didn't even put his name in there, but he goes by the handle of Rattle Bender, and that ain't gonna happen, buddy.
Howard's ready to go for this draft tonight. Howard, I want to ask you, we've watched these the last couple of weeks now. How has that impacted you, if at all, going into this draft? Has watching these a little bit and kind of maybe seeing where people are getting drafted in this Fantasy Life Championship on our site, has it impacted your line of thinking, I should say?
No, I don't think it's really changed my train of thought here. I have seen in the Fantasy Championship drafts, and I've also seen it a lot in the Beat Bender best ball tournament drafts that I've done. RTSports loves its running backs. Now, I don't think that it's a matter of, well, last year all those running backs popped. It's Saquon Barkley was the man, and Derrick Henry almost 2,000. Like I don't think it's that. Like I think that this is the type of a fantasy crowd that does favor that running back first mentality. It's old school. So we'll see what happens, but I think that what I have done, I would say in the drafts that I've done, is that I've shifted a little bit more to finding the value at wide receiver that's sitting there for me now because everybody's going so running back heavy. I've seen wide receiver ones and twos still on the board when somebody's taking an RB3. So
yeah, definitely get some value there for sure. Let's look at this draft board now. So Tim Jensen, my esteemed colleague, did a great job of putting both these draft boards together. They're kind of on top of each other. It's going to be kind of hard to keep them both lined up at the same time, but I'll try to do my best. Regardless, it's really cool to kind of see this, so we can kind of put it side by side, and we can see where the people are going in each draft. And your draft's on the bottom one, Howard. You're picking fifth, so you got Rusty Nails, Dirty Randy, Walter's Coffee, Zebra Confusion, Roto Buzz Guy, that's you, Paw Patrol, Fozzie Dog, our friend there, Big Dogs, Rattle Bender, so we know who that is, calling you out last week, Bangers, Krish's Kiwis, so maybe he's from New Zealand, who knows. Then Mick D, I don't know what that is, Dominators is the last pick, so that's the bottom draft. And then the top one, we have K-Town, the favorite, Castle Buyers. Let's draft the first one. Fun, Mountain or MN Fast Start, Suncoast 30, Kyle.
That's Superman's real name.
Superman. My bad.
Come on.
The movie's coming out too in a couple weeks, I think. And you got Quinn D300, Chen Chong, and then El Diablo. So that is the draft. It's already fast and furious. Both drafts went Jamar Chase first. And if you want to get in one of these drafts before we get into too deep into this, just go to fantasychampionship.com. You can sign up for a Fantasy Life Championship draft for a chance to win $500,000. We do these live streams every week as well. And you can take advantage of the Howard Bender promo. Howard, tell them how they can do that if they've never signed up on our site before.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. If you go to rtsports.com/bender, right? When you deposit over there, you automatically get a match deposit, 50% match deposit up to $500. So if you're talking $300 entry for this one here, and it's 3 entries for 850, go ahead in there, throw in 500-600 bucks, get that 50% match deposit, and get like some free entries in there. That's just
Howard, you're up, so I'll let you pick. I'm sorry, I threw that at you there, and your
who
pick's
should
up.
I
I'm trying to
take?
mess you up. You got the fifth pick. It's gone Chase, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley. I think it comes down between possibly 2 receivers for you. We'll kind of be anxious to see who you pick, and you took CD Lamb. So did those Cowboys, Jim Bowden, did he wear you down to make you make this pick, or you just like the situation better for him?
No, I mean, listen, I think it's a good situation for him. And I'll tell you what, I like the fact that, that they brought in George Pickens only
Mhm.
because it means that Lamb is not just going to get the double coverage or the top coverage. What teams will end up starting to do, and we've seen this before, is that they'll double team Lamb with like secondary coverage, and then they'll try and put their top corner onto Pickens. We've seen that like attempt made.
Mhm.
And unless if you're not putting the best of the best on CD Lamb, even if you're putting him into double coverage, he's going to find a way. So, big fan of his. I think that Pickens drawing some coverage away is definitely going to help that situation. And again, pivoting here to a wide receiver when I know everybody's taking running backs is going to cause me now to spend some more time diving into the running backs who are available in the later rounds now.
So as always, if anybody has any questions, comments about anything in the draft, they want to make a point about any of the picks, they want to give Howard praise for his great picks, or they want to give him a hard time, he's not opposed to talking trash with people as well. Feel free to post something in the comments, and we're happy to answer them, talk about them, you name it. So Henry Muto already put Jim Bowden will be so proud when you tell him. Henry Muto, if this is the same one, he actually is a past winner of the fantasy championship. He won 5-6 years ago, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
So he's in here watching. Maybe
Can
he's
I get a loan there, Hank?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
So as you can
I gotta move in 2 months, for crying out loud. We gotta put together an Alaska fund.
help the guy out. All right. So the 2 drafts, I mean, a little different. So you had Chase and Jefferson go in the top draft, and then Bijan, Genty, and Barkley. The bottom one, Chase, Robinson, Gibbs, Barkley, Lamb, Genty. So it looks like the 2 receivers went first there in the top draft, which is a little out of the ordinary to see Jefferson go second overall.
It is a little out of the ordinary to see him go second, overall. But here's the funny thing, and I've talked about this over and over again. Everybody's so hyped up. Who do I take in the first round? Who do I take in the first round? I've always said it. Take the guy you want.
Yeah.
Right? If you want Justin Jefferson because you love Justin Jefferson, then take him. He's an elite level wide receiver. Anybody in the first round. I could legit cut down every single player in the first round and tell you why he could bust. So if you take the player you want and then just build your team accordingly from there, I think you're set. So I'm not going to worry too much about somebody grabbing Jefferson, that early. Jahmyr Gibbs third in mine. That's the earliest I've seen Gibbs go.
Yeah, he went ahead of Barkley, and he went ahead of Barkley, and Bijan went second there. Yeah, so your draft is moving along quickly compared to the top one. You already threw the first round. You had Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb, Ashton Genty, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, Malik Neighbors, Devon Achane, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think that's the earliest I've seen Achane go in a draft, quite frankly. I don't think I've seen him go in the first round just yet.
No, me neither.
But then he pairs him with Henry, which isn't too shabby.
No, that's the funny thing, right? Like I would have taken Derrick Henry
the other way around,
taken HN or Jacobs.
Exactly. And the other one, CeeDee Lamb, goes after Gibbs at the top there. So Couple different strategies here, a couple different looks, but many of the same guys going here. I think Brian Thomas, he's the fourth receiver off the board there. That's pretty high for him. Again, you can make a strong case, though, for him to go in that spot with all the targets he could get this year. Again, if it's your guy, go get him, right?
If it's your guy, go get him 100%. I am with you on that one as well. And it's gonna be interesting to see which one of my guys I get to go and get as it comes back around to me here.
You got a couple in mind that you're feeling good about who's left, or are you disappointed a little bit?
No. I feel fine with the guys who are left. It's just a matter of like, again, there's a couple of names that I'm like, yeah, I'd really like them. Oh, look, so Travis just helped me out here by taking Nico Collins, because Nico Collins was one of the guys who I was going to grab. I love Nico. I'm expecting a bounce back season from CJ Stroud, so I'm good with that move. I think that's a perfectly fine move. Now the question is which way am I going to go here? This is going to be an interesting spot.
So Drake London goes after Nico Collins. Our friend Howard is up right now. He took CeeDee Lamb in the first round. I'll recap this second round while he's trying to figure out who to pick. It's Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Brock Bowers, Puka Nacua, Bucky Irving, Nico Collins, Drake London, and then Howard gets his running back. He goes with Kyron Williams. He went with Williams ahead of Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, one of the things I need to do is always, I like to diversify, especially if I'm playing in a big tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a lot of Jonathan Taylor already. I don't have much Kyron Williams. The funny thing is because Kyron Williams, everybody's just waiting for him to, miss time with an injury and what's going to happen. The thing that I love about Kyron Williams, though, is that he and McVay's done this. He's the lead back. That dude's playing like a 90% snap share. That's more than any other running back in the NFL. And maybe he's going to miss a game or two. Okay, fine. If I have to look later on in the draft and maybe handcuff him to Jarquez Hunter, the rookie, or even Blake Corum, the second-year guy, I'm okay with doing that late, because if I'm going to get a running back, again, it's investing in the system. And if I'm going to get a guy who's got a 90% snap share, well, I mean, his backup likely to kind of follow, not in the exact same footsteps, but similar.
Yeah, I think that's all you're really looking for early in the draft, is to get those guys that you feel confident they're going to get a ton of the snaps. They're not in a backfield timeshare. You just want those guys that are going to be in there getting the ball on a consistent basis. And if you think Williams is going to do that, I don't think it's a bad pick at all in that system. He's produced great. Again, there's always injury concerns with him, but he's kind of not had an issue with it, quite frankly, since he's taken over as a starter. So interested to see what he does this year. So Achane goes with the second pick in round 2 in the top draft as well. Again, that's kind of earlier than normal. So that it's the exact same build, but flipped. So the owner took Derrick Henry and Achane, and then the other one took Achane and Derrick Henry. Ironically.
You know what? That man, in all honesty, that kind of makes me want to pick 11th. What's going on with the algorithm? How come where's my end of the draft pick there?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. And then Brian Thomas goes at the first pick of the second round with Puka Nacua. The El Diablo team takes him. So that's a receiver. So there's one team that did that at the top. There's two teams at the bottom went receiver. Actually, the first team in your draft, Howard, has gone 3 straight receivers: Jamar Chase, Ladd McConkey, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and then Big Dogs also went receiver with Justin Jefferson and Nico Collins. You got to like that build. Howard's pick is up right now. I will let him.
You know where I'm going here, Jeff. You know exactly.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're going.
Who am I going with? Come on.
Kenneth Walker. I knew it was Kenneth Walker.
That's my boy this year, man. I'm going to tether myself to Kenneth Walker all season long. Again, thank you, Clint Kubiak and Rick Dennison.
So here's my question. With going receiver first, do you want to go running back heavy the next couple rounds? Is that kind of what you're thinking at that point, or you're just trying to go with the flow of the draft? And if someone is good available at receiver, you would go that route as well?
I mean, I was, I could take a look at. I thought Garrett Wilson's a great pick that Fozzie Dog made. I'm flabbergasted that he's falling as far as he's falling. This actually mid third round is the earliest I've seen Garrett Wilson go. I mean, he's been slipping into the fourth round, which is crazy. For me, again, it's a matter of really like what everybody else is doing. Now, had Nico Collins fallen to me, I would have taken Nico Collins.
Okay.
With that pick, and I would have just gone wide receiver, and felt perfectly fine by it. When he didn't fall to me, it was like, yeah, I could go AJ Brown, I could go Lad McConkey, but I figured let me just grab the running back now, and I'm actually glad that I did because to see the teams in 2, 3, and 4 all go running back with their first 2 picks again. It's going to be one of those drafts again where the running backs are, definitely being favored. So, and I love the fact because we only start 2 wide receivers here.
Yep.
Like that's one of the things that I think that everybody gets crazy about when they're drafting like a 0 RB strategy. That's fine. If you've got 3 wide receiver spots to fill and a flex spot or 2 flex spots, then yeah, you can bulk up on the wide receivers. But knowing that you're only starting 2 wide receivers in this format makes me feel good about having a lock guy like Lamb who will be in there every single week without question. But then I've got my running backs here, and I've got 2 RB1s who make me very, very happy.
For sure. And then the top draft, I mean, I'm kind of trying to compare both of them. It's very similar with where a lot of these guys are going. Brock Bowers went in the same spot in both drafts, 3rd pick of the 2nd round. And Jonathan Taylor, Drake London kind of in the same spot, Bucky Irving as well. So both drafts are kind of similar with where everybody's landing. Nobody's really jumped up too much. What do you think about in your draft, the Rusty Nails team taking 3 straight receivers to start his draft? Kind of interested to see what he does. Well, actually, 2 teams did that. Jefferson, Nico Collins, and Adams, the Big Dogs team, did it as well. Those are some really, really top-notch receivers, but wondering what will be his running back room. Should be interesting.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, you kind of look at it right now, and there's actually there's some pretty good depth considering how many running backs have been taken. If you look at the next best available player, and this is I'm just going to read names off of the board here. No surprises. It's going to stay in order. Alvin Kamara, Chuba Hubbard, DeAndre Swift, RJ Harvey. Like these guys those are the top 4 who are available. And all of them are in very favorable situations. So to see that kind of depth still out there, I think if if Travis or if, Rusty Nails, if one of those 4 fall to them, then great. If not, Joe Mixon, James Conner, I'm okay with those guys. Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, those are, veterans who I'm definitely fine with if that's how you're going to build it.
I was trying to figure out which 3 receivers I like better out of those 2 teams, and I think it is really similar, like really similar. I might go with the Jefferson, Nico Collins, and Adams over Chase McConkey and Smith-Njigba, but it's really close.
It's definitely close, but yeah, I'm with the Jefferson, Collins, Devontae, Adams situation. I worry a little bit about Jackson Smith-Njigba. I really do. He's getting a new quarterback. It's a new offense. One of the reasons why Mike McDonald let Ryan Grubb go was because he didn't like him. He wanted a more conservative offense. He didn't want the heavy passing attack. And so if that's the case, and you're going to see a lot of 12 and 21 personnel used by the Seahawks, which just means you got 2 receivers on the field, and that's going to put them on the outside. Maybe some pre-snap motion gets, Smith-Njigba into the slot a little bit more, but you've got 2 wide receivers here who, in him and Cooper Kupp, who both thrive better in the slot than they do on the outside. And I'm just not sure how that's going to fit in this scheme.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is I feel like Kupp, I know he's so injury prone at this point, but I feel like him and Smith-Njigba are very similar with their abilities and how what best suits them well in an offense. So it's kind of interesting to see if Kupp's going to end up taking some of those targets from Smith-Njigba if he's able to stay healthy.
Well, he's going to have to. I mean, Smith-Njigba, yeah, we knew he was going to surpass Tyler Lockett last year, but he still spent the beginning of the season and all of the year before that behind Metcalf and Lockett. So this is
Yep.
his first time as a wide receiver one. And then, now you're pairing him with Cooper Kupp, who is a former wide receiver one himself. So should be very interesting to see. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that JSN isn't getting the power production that everybody's kind of banking on.
So in the top draft, we had 2 tight ends go in the second round. Trey McBride snuck in there, which normally is in the third, fourth round pick in most of the drafts we've watched. But again, if you want to get that elite tight end, it might not have been there available to Let's Draft when he picked again. Then he ended up going Josh Allen, so he does not have a receiver yet. He has Genty, McBride, and Josh Allen on his team. No other. Well, there could be a couple teams that go receiver heavy as well. The Suncoast team has a chance to take 3 receivers, and so does El Diablo. He has Puka Nacua and Brian Thomas. Suncoast has Amon-Ra St. Brown and Nico Collins. So Nico Collins is on both these squads that have been pretty receiver heavy. Now, one of the teams that doesn't have a running back yet is drafting in your league, and he goes Josh Allen. He goes QB, goes against us, and maybe our thinking here, he went with arguably the top quarterback in some draft boards for some people. So he took a QB, Josh Allen.
Yeah, it's, listen, this is what we've seen. Once you hit like rounds 3 through 5, this is where the top QBs go off the board.
Yep.
Now the question is do you feel like that is the investment that you need to make, that you want to make? And, listen, I mean, I understand that there is, that there's that rushing element, and that's the question. So here I'm sitting on the clock right now, and I'll tell you what, I'm actually thinking about going QB here right now, which I don't normally do. I've splashed it in a little bit in the, in the Beat Bender leagues, but I don't necessarily know if I actually need to based on who else is on the board. But I'm gonna zig when everybody thinks I'm gonna zag here, and I'm going to take Jaden Daniels.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe I'll piss off somebody in the chat here.
You might. I mean, we've seen him go first, second in some of these drafts already. So again, this is definitely a spot. If you want him, you got to take him. He would probably not have been available to you if you had to pick again. So you go with Jaden Daniels, get your QB1. And I like that too. Like you mentioned it, like if you're in several of these contests, it's okay if you want to double up on some players, but I think you want to diversify yourself for sure when you're spending this kind of money to get in a league for a chance to win a big prize like that. So if it's a strategy you don't normally do, I think it's smart to maybe try something a little different as well, Howard.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the last time that I drafted in this and we were broadcasting, I think I did my Denver stack, right? The Bo Nix.
Yep.
Yeah, I did Bo Nix with Cortland Sutton and Evan Engram. And so, and I feel good about that too, because again, you look at a guy like Bo Nix who could rush for 500 yards, pass for, almost 4,000 yards. Like that's rock solid. Is the amount of production that you're going to get from Josh Allen, is that so? If Josh Allen, let's just say this, if Josh Allen doesn't repeat a 14 rushing touchdown performance, and you look at his passing yards and you look at his weaponry, do you think, is that like an automatic, or, can I wait 5 rounds and take Bo Nix instead and still get very similar production?
Yeah, it's a good point. And Garrett Wilson goes same spot in both drafts. We just talked about how we think he's getting under drafted. We talked about that in the last live stream we did, Howard, and this is definitely sooner than he has been going. I'm wondering if he's just going to keep inching up as we get closer to the season. Wouldn't surprise me.
I think he will.
For sure. So let's recap the third round for everybody there. Jackson Smith-Njigba, this is the one in your draft. And A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Trey McBride, Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, James Cook, Omarion Hampton, Lamar Jackson, Marvin Harrison Jr. Then the fourth round's finished as well. We have Rashee Rice, George Kittle, Chuba Hubbard, Terry McLaurin, R.J. Harvey, Josh Allen, Mike Evans, Jaden Daniels, DJ Moore, Alvin Kamara, and Cortland Sutton and Aaron Jones. So that first team didn't have a running back yet, and they got Aaron Jones as their number one. Definitely some age concerns a little bit, and a new quarterback for him there. You got to wonder how Aaron Jones is going to be this year. But I think if you're going to take your first back that late, I don't think Jones is a bad pick at all.
No, if you're gonna make that your first running back, I mean, I don't love it, but I also don't, I don't absolutely hate it. I think that you're in a good spot there. Because he is the RB1. They did bring in Jordan Mason. I'm sure that they will spell him with Mason a little bit just to keep the legs as fresh as possible. But, again, if you're taking that strategy of I'm going wide receiver heavy, and listen, 3 top wideouts with a top QB there tells you all you need to know about how he's going to handle his running back position overall.
I like the Alvin Kamara pick there towards the end of the 4th round. I mean, as a 3rd running back for the team there, I think that's a good value there. I know Kamara's could be in an offense with a putrid QB situation, but he's going to get the ball a ton. So I kind of like Kamara there as a 3rd back. I'm sure one of those teams that waited on running back would have liked to have grabbed Kamara.
I almost grabbed Kamara. If I didn't take Jaden Daniels, I would have grabbed Alvin Kamara there. Hands down. No question.
There you go. Now Howard's pick is up. Now, before him, we had 2 QBs go. Joe Burrow, first pick in round 5, then Chris Godwin, Jalen Hurts, Xavier Worthy. Howard is up. Now he has CeeDee Lamb, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, and Jaden Daniels on his team already. You start 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 2 flex spots in this league, and a tight end, a kicker, and a defense. So interested to see what Howard does here. He goes running back again, gets James Conner. Again, he went with that elite receiver with his first pick, and now he's got 3 running backs out of his next 4 picks with Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, and James Conner. Talk about why you took Conner here.
Conner's one of those guys, when we sit there and we look at him, we're like, well, this guy's got to age out at some point, right? I mean, beat cancer when he was with Pittsburgh, and then he takes the job in Arizona, and he flies with it. And every time everybody's like, oh, he's injury prone or we don't want him, what does he do? He puts out another great season. He catches passes. We know that he gets that work. Is there risk at his age? Yes, of course there is. But he's my running back 3. He's my a possible flex play. Which he's the number 1 running back on his team. Trey Benson isn't poaching work from him. Trey Benson is his backup. So again, you've got I've got 3 situations here in the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals of coaches and coordinators who love to use one guy. Right? I'm not worried so much about the shared carries. Do I choose to handcuff later on and keep myself protected? Maybe, but knowing the snap count, the shares, and everything like that for the workload for these 3 guys, they're all 3 RB1s in their system, and there's very minimal competition for any kind of touches.
And I think Conner kind of erroneously has a injury label on him because he hasn't been hurt the last couple of years. He was hurt early in his career, but he's been pretty healthy the last few years, and I think it's kind of not super fair to give him that injury label anymore, quite frankly.
People don't forget, Jeff.
I know they don't. You're right.
They're crazy about it. They really are. I'm with you. We've seen this with a ton of guys where it's like they get that it's that stigma that's there.
You get burnt once.
Like, I'm worried about it.
Yep, you get burnt once, and then you don't want to deal with it again. Did you give any thought to some of the young running backs that went in this round with Quinshon Judkins went, then Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson? So those are 3 rookie backs going round 5. Did you have any thought on taking any of those guys with your pick?
I love the players themselves. It's a matter of the opportunity. I mean, we've got a lot of question marks there in Cleveland. You still have Jerome Ford is there. They drafted Dylan Sampson on the heels of Judkins. Judkins might be the number 1, but to me, it seems like, Kevin Stefanski is going to, mash a whole bunch of these guys in there and see, what happens. And then he's going to give you the whole, I'm going to ride the hot hand speech. And then where are you? Right. And so, I deal with that. You got a change in you got Travion Henderson, who's going to be sharing the role with Ramondre Stevenson. They're still going to roll with Stevenson there. I know every Pats fan is still being like, oh, he's the next James White. He's the next James White. But we'll have to wait and see. Nobody's the next James White. And then Caleb Johnson. As much as I love him, when was the last time you could trust Arthur Smith to do the right thing? Huh? He's going to hand the ball off to Darnell Washington inside the 5-yard line just to fake everybody out. Well, there's Caleb Johnson being like, yep, I'll just be a decoy.
So there's actually a team there in your draft, Howard, took Kittle and Kelsey in back-to-back rounds. So 2 tight ends. Obviously, you can play one at the flex spot. I mean, I'm okay with it, but I still think I might have looked at a receiver there instead of Kelsey, quite frankly, because I'm not sure Kelsey still has that ceiling to be, kind of that number 2 receiver type player, but that's just me.
No, I mean, listen, I totally get it. We actually had this discussion on the Fantasy Alarm Show on Sirius XM today about Travis Kelce and where are we at with him. And my feeling is, I mean, listen, it doesn't really take much to be a top 10 tight end.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. If you take a look at who the top 10 tight ends are, you look at the bottom 5, you'd be like, oh, wow, son of a bitch. I can't believe that. Right. So for me, I'm not going to, if I'm going to take Kittle, I'm not going to take Kelsey as well, because, what you're also not doing here is you're not cornering the market. You're not taking somebody off the board that's going to freak everybody out. Right. So I got to make a pick.
Yeah. Your pick's up now.
Let's see.
So we had Mahomes, Kupp, McMillan, Metcalf, Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, and Chris Olave going round 6 before Howard's pick. On Howard's team, he has Lamb, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, Jaden Daniels, James Conner. He could go a couple different routes here. I'm thinking he either goes receiver, tight end, and he goes Zay Flowers for his second receiver. Kind of had that breakout year last year. You excited about Zay Flowers' prospects for this season?
Am I excited about him? I can't say I'm excited about him, but I like Zay Flowers because look at the rest of that receiving core in Baltimore. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is washed. I'm sorry, but that dude can't, he can't get separation, and he's even going to start struggling in contested catches now. And he's competing with Rashad Bateman. They run enough 2 tight end sets over there in Baltimore that you only have 2 receivers on the board on the field at one time. Zay Flowers is always going to be one of them. You look at the other guys, I don't know. So I do like Zay Flowers just in the sense that he will see strong volume week in, week out for the role. Like, as my wide receiver 2, if he's getting 8 to 10 targets on average, I'd be pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely the guy there. They still have Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely in the tight end room, and they get their looks as well. But Flowers is definitely the number 1 receiver and gets the most targets there. If you're just joining us, I'm with Howard Bender here, and we are streaming the Fantasy Life Championship drafts that are going on our site here at RealTime Fantasy Sports right now. Howard is in the one on the bottom if you're looking at the screen, and the one on the top is going on at the exact same time. So we thought we'd stream them both here, talk about them, compare them. If you want to get in a Fantasy Life Championship draft, go to rtsports.com, click on that Money League link. You can see all the leagues we have to offer on there, in addition to this Fantasy Life Championship that gives away a $500,000 grand prize. So trying to look at these drafts to kind of compare, and there's nothing really that stands out where somebody's going, way sooner than somebody else. I mean, the 2 tight ends that went in your draft, Kittle and Kelsey, have not been picked yet, and we're in round 5. So that's kind of a little different. I mean, James Conner went very similar spot to where you pick, Howard. Your pick's coming up as well. I'll let you kind of figure that out. I'll kind of recap that draft up top right now. It was Mixon, Lamar Jackson, Omarion Hampton, Marvin Harrison, Jaden Daniels, DJ Moore, RJ Harvey, Chuba Hubbard, Cortland Sutton, Rashee Rice, Joe Burrow, and Mike Evans. So three QBs went in round 4 of that draft, and 2 went in your draft, Howard, and you just took George Pickens. So you have 2 Dallas receivers. Does that worry you at all?
No, because there are going to be times where I'm going to end up being able to start both of them. You look at Dallas and, the schedule that they're going to have. Listen, their defense is good. They got a good pass rush, right? We all love Mike Parsons and all the other guys in the front line there. But, the secondary can also be a little bit kind of shaky, right? Trevon Diggs gets burnt deep on the regular. And I look at the situation here for the Cowboys, and without a running game, if a team starts to score on them, they're going to have to they're just going to throw the ball constantly. Like, I could see a very high volume passing game here for them. Let me kind of pull up some of those the schedule that Dallas has, just so I can cite those examples. But like the Eagles, I think they're going to be passing heavily against the Eagles. They're going to be able to throw heavily on the Giants. The Packers struggle in the secondary at times. Panthers struggle in the secondary at times. We've seen, please, if the Commanders are walking in with Benjamin St-Juste in their secondary again, they're going to be having some problems. So, it's not until you meet up with, Sauce Gardner will take away half the field for the Jets, and then you've got Surtain doing that, for the Broncos. But look at all these other matchups here. Cardinals, Raiders, another battle with the Eagles, the battle with the Chiefs, a battle with the Lions. They're going to have to throw the ball a bunch. So I think that I will be able to, as I see the defenses that they're matching up with week in and week out, I think I'll be able to grab that.
And Dallas also has the 7th easiest fantasy schedule in the playoffs for receivers. So that could bode well for you as you try to make your run there, Howard, in the playoffs. Maybe it's a precursor to maybe another QB you might take a little later. Who knows?
What? You're giving away my secrets like that. Oh, no.
So we got a couple comments in the draft. One person here said they like team 1 start at the top of the draft. So he has Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Mike Evans, and Jalen Hurts. Yeah, that's a pretty solid start. 2 good running backs, 2 players from the same Bengals team. That's a high-powered offense. Not too worried about that. Solid number 2 receiver in Evans, and then Jalen Hurts as well. Yeah, it's a pretty good build there. Your draft is moving along quickly. You're in round 8, and the other one's in round 5. Wow. Started at the exact same time, everybody. This has not been a different start time here. You guys
I like a little speed draft here. This makes me smile.
I agree. I look at the receivers picked in that 7th round too, and for me, I think the 2 of my favorites, if I had to pick, would be yours of George Pickens, out of that group at least, and Calvin Ridley. I know Tennessee's Tennessee, but somebody's got to be the number 1 receiver, and I kind of think Ridley is pretty good value there in round 7, quite frankly.
Yeah, I like Ridley a lot there because, he's the number 1 target. They're going to want him to be the number 1 target. Who else is Tennessee going to throw the ball to?
Yeah, exactly.
Treylon Burks is never going to stay on the field. Tyler Lockett is meh. And then all of a sudden, then you start moving into the Van Jefferson region, or if one of these rookies pops, like Kamara DK or Ilik Ayamanor, if one of those guys pops, then maybe you've got a little something. But
so Zay Flowers went in the middle of the 5th round in the draft at the top, and you got him in round 6. So there's your value, Howard. You did a great job of stealing Flowers from everybody.
Well done, Howard. You did nice work. Well, we're proud of you there. Congratulations. Mazel tov. Oh, it's my pick.
Yeah, your pick's up again. I'll recap Howard's team for everybody there. So again, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a tight end, and then 2 flex plays. And he has CeeDee Lamb, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, Jaden Daniels, James Conner, Zay Flowers, George Pickens, and Zach Charbonnet. We're kind of talking about, I can't remember who I was talking about this too, but I think it's a no-brainer pick if you have Kenneth Walker, because Charbonnet can just slide in and play very similar and produce similar numbers. So I think that's a strong pick by you there if you're going to take Kenneth Walker.
I don't make the same mistake twice. That's what happened to me the first time I drafted here. You remember that? Man, who was it that
somebody stole him from me? I can't remember it either.
And it ruined my draft, and it happened in the 9th round too. So here in the 8th, I was like, all right, I'm going to make sure that I don't make that mistake. Right now, I've got the Seattle backfield locked up, and I'm very happy with that.
There's not many backfields where the backup's just going to slide in and produce great, but that's one of them. I think we can say pretty safely as well that San Francisco is kind of a similar situation also, but there's just not many situations like that you can just plug in the backup and they're going to produce big fantasy numbers. And when there is, I think you definitely need to use that handcuff strategy.
Yes. I mean, again, we've talked about it. It depends on the situation. Like that's the mistake that people make when they're like, oh, I don't handcuff. I mean, it depends on who the running backs are. It depends on the situation. We've seen, Kenneth Walker get hurt, right? We've also seen what a Clint Kubiak, Rick Dennison offensive, what a run blocking scheme does for running backs in that system. So, if Kenneth Walker does get hurt, Zach Charbonnet is right there. It's not like a split backfield where it's like Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbo. Yeah. Because that's like that, one's a pass catcher and, the other one's going to be a plotter. Right. So,
for sure.
That's not the case where, you're like, you got a handcuff in there and, there goes Evan Engram. For crying out loud. I thought I was going to get away with it, but the handcuff was too important to me, Jeff. It was too important.
I hear you. I know that they may have been watching these drafts the last couple of weeks. We've been talking up Ingram. Both of us have, and they might have known that was your next target. Someone pointed out too that Kelsey still hasn't been drafted in this first draft at the top, and they're in round 6.
Really?
Yeah, kind of interesting. He went in round, right at the beginning of round 5 of your draft. Interesting.
People are sour on him, man. They're really sour on him. And it's so funny. Look at it. In my draft, actually, Sam Laporta falls into the 7th round and Kelsey goes in round 5. And last year it was like,
Sam Laporta was crazy.
Sam Laporta was the 2nd rounder.
Yep. I'm not completely sour on Kelsey. I feel like everybody thought he had a down year last year. He still had 90+ catches, which is, nothing to shake your fist at there. So you're up in 2 picks, Howard. So to start, the round 8 picks were Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, Baker Mayfield, Brian Robinson, Cam Scatterbo. That might be the earliest I've seen him go. Javonte Williams, Stephon Diggs, Zach Charbonnet to your team, Tootin, Michael Pittman, Bo Nix, Evan Ingram, and then round 9, Jalen Warren, Mark Andrews, Khalil Shakir, Jadon Blue, and your pick, you get your tight end, and you go Colston Loveland.
Yeah, I always, you listen to coach speak and you don't listen to coach speak. You're always like, trying to weed through what's news and what's not. But the bottom line is that Ben Johnson wants to put his mark on this Bears offense. And he's had experience with DeAndre Swift, and it's very curious to see what happens there. They've got wide receivers in Odunze, whatever. But he turned around and on Colston Loveland's pro day, gushed to Loveland about how much he reminded him of Sam Laporta. Now, I know they paid Cole Kmet $50 million. He's still under contract. But if the coach is talking about a pass-catching tight end and he's putting him in the same breath with how, with Sam Laporta, you have to look and pay attention to how the coach used Sam Laporta. And Sam Laporta's rookie year was phenomenal. So much to the point that everybody drafted him in the 2nd round the year afterwards. Right or wrong, that was the move that happened. So I have to look at Colston Loveland. Will I get another tight end later on who maybe has just a decent floor? So I have somebody, if I'm comfortable, if Loveland doesn't pan out as a rookie, yeah, I'll do that. But I'm gonna swing for the fences with a little bit of rookie upside.
It's simple logic too, Howard. The fantasy rookie tight end has led the league in scoring the last 2 years. So it's going to be a third year, and you got the top guy. So it's just logic.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You're 100% right.
There's no skill to this fantasy stuff. It's just you just got to put the numbers together, right?
Hashtag analysis.
So Sam Laporta actually goes as the fourth tight end off the board in the draft. They're at the top, and Travis Kelce still has not been picked. Kind of interesting there. There's a team that took Mahomes as well in the fifth spot. I bet you he would love to get.
Oh, yeah, right. Just pair him up right there.
Kelce. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, this dude's not taking Kelce.
Yeah, he got one other owner. The
Castle Byers is right there.
Yep. Interesting. So we tight end heavy in your draft down there in round 9. You have Mark Andrews, Colston Loveland, TJ Hawkinson. Those are the 3 tight ends there that have gone. So tight ends kind of going there. A lot of teams have their number 1 now in the draft. After that is Travis Etienne, Jordan Mason, Austin Eckler, Tajay Spears, Brandon Ayuk, and Kyle Pitts. Now, I'm not drafting Kyle Pitts. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I just can't.
I've grabbed him in a couple of the best balls just because, I mean, he's free. Him going in round 9 right now is, to me, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's not working in the system right now. Zach Robinson's not utilizing Kyle Pitts to work out of the slot as much as, we thought was going to happen. I think Kyle Pitts is one of those guys, Jeff, who just, he needs the change of scenery. I won't have a lot of Kyle Pitts this year. Next year, wherever he lands, I'll probably be over-invested, right? I think he needs a way out.
He definitely is a super talented individual that can do a lot of things most humans can't. So hopefully if he gets another chance with a new QB, maybe that'll get him going again. So we'll see. Tom Smith says Pitts and Pittman are off his radar this year. That's fair with Pittman too. I mean, he kind of burnt a lot of people last year. I thought his value was just so crazy good last year. I took him in a lot of leagues, but wasn't a whole lot of help. And I guess people had the right idea about him because that QB situation just wasn't very good.
No, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And, I mean, listen, again, that's not to mention the fact that, he's got the bad back. And, it's so funny. Andrew Cooper always says this to me at Fantasy Alarm. He's like, when was the last time you heard somebody say, I used to have a bad back, but now I'm great?
That's true. They go to the chiropractor every week talking about that. It does not go away. You're right. Especially for a younger guy like that as well. So Travis Kelce finally goes off the board round 7 to the Doug Souders team. He has CeeDee Lamb, Bucky Irving, James Cook, DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, Tyron Tracy, and Travis Kelce. So 2 of your players on his team there, Howard. Not a bad little build for him there. I'm good with that. Ralph Shiavon next to him, Suncoast. He's a longtime user of our site, one of our top-ranked players. He took Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels, DeAndre Swift, Xavier Worthy, and then Brian Robinson Jr. So he went really receiver heavy, then took one of the top QBs. Now he's hoping that some of these running backs pan out for him. That's
I like that. I like that team a lot there. I think Suncoast did a great job. I mean, the 3 wide receivers are money in the bank, and Jaden Daniels is rock solid. So, you're going to have to sacrifice something. And if that's going to be, some running back, there's very little competition for touches in Chicago unless they bring in Nick Chubb. So DeAndre Swift's going to be the guy there. And Austin Eckler has already said he's not somebody who goes between the tackles anymore. So, I'm fine giving up on him.
I like team couple picks down from him. He took Malik Neighbors first, and he had Brock Bowers. Again, something I normally wouldn't do, but I like that he went 3 straight running backs with Kenneth Walker, Marion Hampton, Aaron Jones. Then he got DK Metcalf and Baker Mayfield. So I think it's a pretty good starting unit for that team there. I think he has some potential there as long as Aaron Jones and Hampton end up being productive players for him. But I think he has some good upside there for sure.
Which guy? I'm sorry. I was just
The
trying to.
Richie Sutton team there. Oh, you just picked. I
Yeah,
apologize.
I was just making a
He
pick. Let
he
me
he
see.
picked 10th at the top.
Yep, I got it. Neighbors, Bowers, Walker, Hampton, Jones, Metcalf, and Mayfield. I tell you, as much as I love DK Metcalf, and I mean, the dude is a beast, right?
Yeah.
Physical specimen. There's so much to love about him. The QB situation, even if it's Aaron Rodgers, I hate it so much because we've seen Rodgers, right? He gets this great wide receiver and he doesn't do enough things with him because they're on opposite ends of the on the page because Rodgers doesn't do camp, right? Rodgers doesn't do the OTAs, Rodgers doesn't do the mini camps. He shows up for training camp and he expects to like suddenly gel with everybody and be able to walk into the season. Remember that scene in The Replacements where like the QB's yelling at the deaf guy and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's Aaron Rodgers, right? It's what he does. He's always crying about something.
Trying to look at some of these builds, and there's one interesting one in your draft, that Bangers team. He has all running backs and receivers at this point. No QB, no tight end on his roster. He has Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, James Cook, Terry McLaurin, Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyron Tracy, Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and Isaac Guriendo. So he got Guriendo to be his handcuff to McCaffrey. You like that, but man, he really went heavy on receiver and running back there.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm not afraid of a build like that. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're taking a look at like, the back end and you're looking at like who the QBs are, like here's the funny thing. We talk about this all the time. Matthew Stafford, where does Matthew Stafford get drafted? Like 12th, 13th round, 14th round?
Yep.
But meanwhile, Puka Nacua is a first rounder to most people, and Devontae Adams is going in the third. If you're going to get two wide receivers from a team and have enough production that both of those guys are going to be like first through third round material, well, somebody's got to be feeding him the ball, and that's got to be Stafford. So if you think about it, when you look at that, it's the same thing like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. If you think that those guys are going to perform, then you have to be in on Tua Tagovailoa as well.
So we didn't talk about you got another pick coming up. I'll let you get ready for that, but I'll recap that 10th round. So it's Tank Bigsby, Rashad White, Jacoby Myers, Isaac Guriendo, Jaden Higgins, Josh Downs, Ramondre Stevenson, Trey Harris, Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan, Braylon Allen, and David Njoku. Howard took Trey Harris there with his pick, giving him his fourth receiver. So Trey Harris is fourth receiver. There's one more pick until he's up again. So he goes with the youngster out of Los Angeles, kind of taking over for Quentin Johnston. I feel like he's the more talented Quentin Johnston. There's like similar builds and similar type players. But I think Harris is the better option there of the two, and he should get immediate playing time in what should be a good offense.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I love that. I'm here. I'm just gonna be I'm just gonna do the smart thing, and I'm gonna handcuff James Conner to Trey Benson for this one here. Excuse me, but yeah, we're just talking about Trey Harris.
Trey Harris, yep.
I like that's the thing. If you're looking for a wide receiver to complement Lad McConkey, then you want like a big split end, right? Somebody who's going to stretch the field deep, somebody who's going to be able to, be that vertical threat that you need, fight for contested catches. McConkey's going to get, his work and all of his stuff, and that's great, right? But Trey Harris in his role is going to be either Mike Williams or Quentin Johnston. And everybody hates Quentin Johnston right now, right? He's still He took a slight step forward last year, but nobody likes him. They bring back Mike Williams. That dude, how hurt is he on a regular basis? So, again, I'm pretty good with Trey Harris as the potential to win that job. It's like looking at Matthew Golden in Green Bay. Are you worried that Christian Watson is going to suddenly take his job? No.
Those guys, those all those Green Bay receivers are so similar to me after Golden. So I think Golden definitely is the guy who's going to step up there and get most of the work there. It's always interesting to me, like when I see Kyler Murray going round 11, it just makes me want to just wait on a QB.
I know, right?
You see that and you're like, holy cow. I mean, why not do that? But that's a great spot to get him. And I think that was your nemesis there, unfortunately, that took him, Rattle Bender. He got his team. We'll take a look at his team. Brian Thomas, Bucky Irving, T. Higgins, R.J. Harvey, Travion Henderson, Jameson Williams, Juwan Jennings, Cam Scatterby. So he has 3 rookie running backs, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
And then Jaden Higgins, another rookie, and then Kyler Murray. So he's investing heavily in the rookies. Not a bad build, though. I hate to say it.
No, it's not a bad build. I love, but because he's my nemesis, I'll say this. Yeah, Brian Thomas is great. I love Brian Thomas. Good job not screwing up your first pick. Well done. Bucky Irving, I don't know what John Grizzard's going to do with this offense. I know that Todd Bowles asked him, to please, just maintain from year to year what was going on. But, you're telling me that you draft Jalen McMillan turned out last year. Chris Godwin's coming back from injury. Mike Evans is a stud, and you just drafted Emeka Egbuka. You're telling me that John Grizzard's not going to be like, I'd want to do a little bit more passing. So I don't necessarily know if Bucky Irving is going to see the volume that he saw last year, and B, is John Grizzard a guy who might be a fan of Rachaad White? I know I'm not, but you never know. T. Higgins, second fiddle to Cincinnati. He'll never be Jamar Chase, right? That's like, Bruce Springsteen wishing that he was Bob Dylan. It's just never going to happen. R.J. Harvey's a rookie, and we'll see if, he can maintain, the work. I can't say anything bad about R.J. Harvey. I love him. Yeah, Travion Henderson sharing work. Jameson Williams. The team wanted to trade him. Now what's he going to do coming back there? Juwan Jennings going to lose work to Ricky Pearsall. Cam Scatterby, he'll probably have a good touchdown count, but like his yardage total, I don't buy it. Jordan Mason's a handcuff. Jaden Higgins, he wishes that he was T. Higgins. Kyler Murray, we'll see when the next Call of Duty gets released because that's going to be important to see. And Tucker Kraft, the tight end who's sitting behind 72 different wide receivers that Jordan Love's going to throw to. So his team sucks, and he's going to lose, and what a shame.
We talked about Mark Andrews last week. He goes in the 9th round in both these drafts, so I think that's disrespect for that guy. He was a top 5 tight end last year, even after starting the year just horrifically. I still think he's got value. So I'd take Andrews all day in the 9th round. I'll take Kyler Murray all day in the 11th round. Give me those two guys. I love those picks here. And that I kind of like too the idea of double tapping QBs if you're going to wait this late. So you did take Dak Prescott there, Howard. I didn't give it away to everybody, but the team right after you, he had Justin Fields and then Drake May. So I kind of like that idea. If you're going to wait that long on a QB, then maybe go back to back and hope one of those guys can hit. So I like that strategy. But go back to your Prescott pick. Was that just because of getting those 2 receivers? Is that what you're thinking?
Just because, right? Just finish off the Dallas stack. Jaden Daniels is going to be my QB the majority of the time. But listen, when you've got a mobile QB, what happens if he gets hurt? I mean, I could try and go with another mobile QB. This is that tight end, the yin yang draft strategy that I was talking to you about the last time. I have a guy who's got great mobility, works it with his legs. He's a top QB. We're fine with that. But I also now, with my second guy, Dak's definitely much more of a pocket passer, but he's in a pass-heavy scheme. So if for some reason Daniels fails me, I've got Dak Prescott. Will there be times where Dak might outscore Jaden Daniels and I have him on the bench? Yeah, it's possible, but I'll always have a slice of him with CeeDee Lamb in my roster anyway. So it's going to be a fun one. I'm kind of digging on this build also because I know that come like Monday's show with the GM Jim Bowden, I can just ask him to dissect this draft, and I can just, it'd be like basically just asking, somebody to masturbate on TV, right? I mean, that's really what it would be. Jim would blow a load over this roster. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that definitely would be a good radio for you to hear him praise you like that. So that'd be good. I like this team too up top. I'm kind of trying to analyze all these teams now. It's tough to keep track of all this, but I think this fun team, they're picking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth in draft order. I think it's kind of a team that would be to your liking. I like what he did. He has Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, RJ Harvey, George Kittle, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, Ricky Pearsall, and then he got Bo Nix as his QB. I think that's a really strong team for picking smack dab right in the middle of the draft. I really like what he's done so far.
Those first 5 picks are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. Like, you went running back heavy. You still got an elite wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. You get a top tight end. I love George Kittle this year. I'm not bullish on Olave or Waddle, mostly because Waddle is just, well, both of them, right? They're very risky picks
Yeah.
based on who their quarterback is and their own personal injury history. So it's a little tough on that front for me. Now
You're
I
up.
could. Oh, it's
You're
my
up
pick.
now, Howard. Yeah, sorry. I'll elaborate on Olave's. I don't mind taking a chance on Olave in round 6 just because I think he could get some volume. They have nothing else there at receiver. So that's the only reason that I would take a chance on him at that point. I think it's fair, but I'm not big on Waddle at all. He's just disappointed in recent years. And now Jonnu Smith seems to be vulturing a lot of work from him as well. So that worries me also there in Miami. And you go with Marquise Brown as your next pick, going with the Kansas City receiver there, injured nearly all of last year, but he has a chance to play a big role this year if he can stay healthy, I think.
My Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sorry, I was just putting some guys in my queue to make sure that I was okay. But here's the thing. Marquise Brown took a he took a 1-year deal last year, a little pillow contract, right? Just so that he could build his he could build himself up a little bit, that he could take that 1 year, pad his stats with with Patrick Mahomes, and then go out and get like a big money deal. He got hurt. It didn't happen. Now, you saw, they were trying to put some stuff together at the tail end of last year. What did he do? He went right back to it, signed a 1-year deal, hoping to stay healthy here and just pad his stats with Mahomes. So I'm okay here with this. I think I'm in a good spot here. And it's also worth noting that what's his face? Who is it? Zebra Confusion. That's why I kind of got like sidetracked there, because Zebra Confusion took Jarquez Hunter right in front of me.
Yeah, that would have been your handcuff again. Would you have done that? Would you have gone that route?
Yeah, I would probably. I might not have taken him right then and there. I might have stayed with Marquise Brown, but I was like sitting there trying to, like you're just doing the, through the search bar, and you're like, where's this guy? Where's this guy? Holy S, where did this guy just go? And then I look and I'm like, oh, the son of a bitch took him right in front of me. So,
yeah, it's tough though. I mean, you already had 2 handcuffs for running back, so you're kind of taking roster space up if you keep going that route. So I think you could have gone either way there, even if he was available.
Yeah. But I thought, I think Brown is the better move for me here.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, listen, if Kyron Williams gets hurt and Jarquez Hunter is the handcuff, again, I still have Walker Charbonnet and I've got James Conner with Trey Benson. So I'm still good here at running back, even if injuries do take place.
I think that Brashard Smith pick in round 13, that's the highest I've seen him go in any draft.
Yes, I agree with that as well. I think that was pretty high as well. Also, a round 13 kicker makes me scratch my head.
I can't do it. I just can't do it. I take kickers in second or last, the second to last round or the last round. I know some of these kickers you like because they can score 150 plus points, but most of them you can get guys that score 120 plus points. It's not that much of a difference from week to week, quite frankly. Are you going to take a kicker with your next pick?
No, I wasn't. Oh, sorry. I put my mic on mute for a second because there was some stuff going on in the background. I was like, but let me just no. I'm definitely not. No, I mean, listen, yeah, kicker for me. Again, I'm not so crazed about it. Brandon Aubrey. I mean, how many times have we seen people take kickers and the kickers suck? Even if you want to talk about a guy like Justin Tucker, who was supposed to be money in the bank for everybody, but
he was not good last year.
He totally disappointed everybody. So yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it.
There's so many guys that finished top 10 that weren't even drafted. So I'm just not going to go that route. And we see the kicker from Baltimore go in round 14 there. Ironically, Tyler Loop goes there with Justin Tucker now gone. So definitely get a lot of volume there in Baltimore. But again, I'm not taking a kicker in the 14th round of a 20 round draft, quite frankly.
Definitely not.
So we are an hour into this, Howard. Let's just recap your team, and then we'll maybe look through both boards and talk about a team we like maybe as well besides your own, Howard, and then we'll skedaddle out of here and let you finish up the draft. But your team, you took CeeDee Lamb, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, Jaden Daniels, James Conner, Zay Flowers, George Pickens, Zach Charbonnet, Colston Loveland, Trey Harris, Trey Benson, Dak Prescott, Marquise Brown. How you feeling at this point of the draft after 13 rounds?
You know what? I feel pretty good about my roster right now because again, I've got the running backs locked down. I think with CeeDee Lamb, Zay Flowers, George Pickens, Trey Harris, I think that I'll probably be using one running back and one wide receiver in my in my flex spot. And I have guys who again, you always kind of worry, right? When you're sitting there and you're like breaking down all the analysis and you're looking at players, am I overvaluing this guy a little bit too much or whatnot? But I really think that I've got good youth upside. I've got good protection at the running back position. And I think I have strong wide receivers led by an elite in CeeDee Lamb. So, and I've got, a top 3 QB who's a mobile genius, as well as a potential up and coming resurgent Dak Prescott.
For sure. I'm trying to figure out what team besides your own, Howard, that I'm kind of high on at this point. It's kind of tough I kind of like with Dirty Randy. I don't think we've even talked about his team, but I think he's done a pretty good job of a build there. He's picking from the 2 hole. He's got Bijan, Breece Hall, A.J. Brown, Cortland Sutton, Chris Godwin. I know Godwin's coming back from an injury, but number 3 receiver there. Isaiah Pacheco, a good high-risk boomer bust pick there. Rome Odunze, Bo Nix, Mark Andrews, Braylon Allen, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Mims, and then Trevor Lawrence. Not a bad little build for him. You just took Kyle Williams as well.
Williams.
Any teams stand out to you?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Any team stand out to you?
Well, I was just going over Brent's team, and I love that. I mean, listen, Bijan and Breece right at the top, and then you've got A.J. Brown. Cortland Sutton is a wide receiver 1. Godwin coming back from injury. We'll see what happens. But listen, you said it, right? Mark Andrews in round 9, insane value.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that team a lot. If I'm going to sit there and I'm going to take a look at a team that who I like the most. I kind of feel like I like Rusty Nails at the top there with Chase McConkey. I don't love JSN, but I don't mind JSN. He's got Burrow paired up with Chase. He's got a running back, running back work in Jones and Pollard, who are gonna start. I love Evan Engram. And then he's got then he's just, now he's throwing a bunch of running back, spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. And you know what? Algier's a good handcuff for Bijan. But I don't know. He needs an injury for Bijan for Algier to pop. But Kareem Hunt is actually going to probably get some decent work in there still.
That was the other team that stood out to me, quite frankly. And the board at the top, I'm sticking with the fun team. That's my favorite team out of that draft that we just kind of talked about. The Gibbs, Taylor, Garrett Wilson, RJ Harvey, George Kittle, Olave Waddle, Pearsall, Bo Nix, Darnell Mooney. Is there any other team that you're looking at up there at all that stands out to you, Howard?
Who do I like the most? I would say, yeah, I mean, that fun team is really good here. That's probably my favorite also. Although I tell you what, Richie Sutton's team over there with Malik Neighbors, I don't love taking Brock Bowers that early, but I don't mind it. Walker, Hampton, Jones, like he attacked the running back position the way he was supposed to. He's got a strong quarterback in Baker Mayfield. He's got some upside potential at the wide receiver spot. Yeah, I like that. That's not a terrible team there.
I agree. There's, I think the 11th pick, 11th team that drafts as well, the Yang team. I kind of like all his running backs as well. He needs some of those receivers to hit, though. If Kupp can stay healthy and produce kind of near a past season for him, he could end up having a pretty good team as well. You got Colston Loveland as his number one tight end, similar to you. So, Howard, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming on, and your pick's up right now, so I'll let you make that before we get out of here. You just took Kyle Williams, and now you're up again, round 15 of a 20 round draft.
Yeah, it's really kind of, I mean, you look at what's available out here, and it's pretty grotesque to me,
It is. You could start backing up some positions like QB or tight end, or you could
I already have it. Yeah, I guess I could
you
go
did
with
back up QB tight end. I mean,
I don't really love the tight end situations that are out here right now, but I mean, I might as well. You
go kicker.
I could go kicker. I could definitely go kicker. What if I went? What if I go defense? If I take a defense right now, I don't even know a defense that I would even like want to take at this point. How much time do I have? 5 seconds?
5 seconds.
Oh, I'm screwed. Let's take an old man.
There you go. Hey, it's not a bad strategy there. You got Kyron Williams. You don't know who the top backup is just yet.
Yeah.
Good talk about Hunter, but you never know.
Whoa! I'll tell you what. Yeah, now I just have to root against. And here's the funny thing. Like I said, I don't have a lot of Kyron Williams, so I don't have any Kyron Williams except for this one here, and that means I don't have any Jarquez Hunter. So now I can just pretty much just root against him and feel good about it.
There you go. And I like what Fozzie did right next to you. He waited super long on QB. Then he goes Love and Penix in 14 and 15. I mean, Love is going crazy late now. And if he can just rebound a little bit, he's got more to work with at receiver now. So I kind of like that strategy. I think Fozzie did well, waited on QB, and I like that double tap there. Good work, Fozzie. All right, Howard.
How about Justin Herbert in round 14?
Yeah, that's another.
Disrespect.
I know. Again, it makes me watching these want to wait on a QB. It makes me want to do that.
It really does.
It's been a lot of fun, though. Again, if you want to get in a Fantasy Life Championship draft, just go to rtsports.com, click on that Money League link. We will be streaming again next week. It was awesome to do 2 drafts at once. A lot going on, but we got to talk about a lot of picks, a lot of insight into your picks as well, which is always entertaining and interesting to hear from a owner perspective, to see what you're thinking and why you went a certain route. So it's been a lot of fun, Howard. I appreciate you coming on as always.
Always a pleasure, Jeff. Thanks so much for having me. You know what? We should do this again next week.
We should make it 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Why not, man? Why not?
Listen,
if these drafts are going to keep filling, I think this is a very useful tool for a lot of people. I really do. I think I'm a little bit more useful when I'm not drafting and I can just kind of look at team builds and things like that. But, again, if you're looking at builds and overall, and, the guys who are in these drafts, they know, right? They're the high stakes guys. They're the ones who dominate these contests. These are the guys who know. So you know what? They're getting, a little bit of information there. And if you're not as, experienced a player as they are, you're watching their builds anyway, right? And now you're learning what some of the, high stakes winners do.
Exactly. There's several top 10 players on our site that are in both these drafts, and you can definitely learn from them and figure out a good strategy for your drafts this year. Again, Howard, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. Thank everybody out there for watching as well. Been a lot of fun, and looking forward to doing it again next week. This has been Jeff Paur with RealTime Fantasy Sports.